Ketchikan Youth for Change is hosting our second now annual sleepout. We host the sleepout to raise awareness for those experiencing homelessness as well as raise funds. All funds go to First City Homeless Services to assist them in providing necessary services for these vulnerable populations. At the sleepout, Ketchikan Youth for Change members will spend 24 hours outside to simulate a fraction of the experience of homelessness. We will be going through the steps of seeking out resources from the shelter without actually taking away from those resources. With this being a fundraiser, we will be accepting any and all donations. Although the sleepout is 24 hours, any donations to the homeless shelter will be accepted before and after the sleepout takes place.
We spent 24 hours outside making an attempt to kind of spend the day in the life of a homeless individual in Ketchikan. Obviously, it was just a small glimpse into the reality of the situation. We were offered many more resources than someone who's actually living that experience in Ketchikan. But even with those extended resources and this being kind of a trial, I guess, it was still a very real experience that opened my mind up to a lot of the reality of what being homeless in Ketchikan might entail. We got to go down to the homeless shelter downtown and utilize the resources there, learn about what resources are offered in Ketchikan and what disparities that we also may have and that homeless individuals have to navigate. So I think the most eye-opening part of this experience was kind of just understanding like my own willpower. After experiencing that night's sleep, I would not have been able to wake up the next day and go to school. I would not have been able to wake up the next day and fill out a job application or get myself cleaned up or find even a place to get myself cleaned up and go out and get a job or go out and reach out to professionals who may have the potential to help me out that day. So I think that really opened my mind, especially with the assumptions that a lot of people make about homeless individuals just being lazy or just not wanting to go out and get themselves together and get a job. So I think that really opened my eyes, and also just understanding the stigma that's held against homeless individuals in Ketchikan, and just kind of how dehumanizing it must be to have to live that daily life and feel so helpless in trying to get out of it.
Okay, tell me about last night. How did you sleep?
How did I sleep?
Yeah.
I did until I started waking up, and then I stole Connor's bed.
Yeah. That was like 2 hours ago.
Was it?
Yeah. It's like 8 o'clock. So you weren't very comfortable?
No.
Okay, tell me about your sleeping situation.
I didn't have a sleeping bag, so a friend gave me a sleeping bag they had, and it was for a child, and it only went up to like half of like my thighs. But then they had two of them, so I used one to cover my legs, but it was bitterly cold.
Yeah.
And I was dying, so I pulled my jacket down as far as I could, and then I pulled the sleeping bag over it, and then I cinched my belt around my legs so that it would try and keep me warm, and it did nothing except wait. I don't know. I didn't have a belt.
So you were pretty uncomfortable.
And cold.
Did you expect to feel that awful?
No.
There were points where I thought my toes were going to fall off. I had 4 sweatshirts, 2 huge jackets, a blanket, and a sleeping bag on, and like hats and gloves, and I still did not feel warm enough. And there were points in the night where I was like clinging to my friends for a little bit of extra warmth. So obviously with that aspect, not being able to get a full night's sleep definitely affected my mood and my energy the next day. To anyone who was trying to wake me up the next morning, I'm so sorry for if I was grumpy, because it was definitely difficult getting up and just like getting myself going again. And even with all of those layers that I had on, I think just recognizing that that is so much more than many of the individuals in Ketchikan that experience homelessness, like so much more than what they would have on any given night. And like this is in spring, this isn't in the depths of winter where the temperatures and the weather conditions are so much more severe. So I think that was also very perspective altering in how, in like the empathy that I have for these vulnerable communities in Ketchikan.
Okay, Wesley, tell me about last night.
I didn't sleep at all.
At all?
Actually, I got a solid 10 minutes of sleep. It was way too cold. It's real cold out here, out the street by the water.
Yeah. You definitely came like the least clothed and with the least amount of warm stuff. So
I heavily underestimated
Really?
how chilly it'd get out here. I thought it'd be like light breezes and clear sky. It wasn't. It rained and there was a lot of wind.
Yeah.
And I was not ready for it. I showed up in Crocs and thin sweats.
So there's a variety of different levels of homeless services that can be available in any given community. Low barrier and high barrier. Low barrier services meaning that there are fewer expectations that need to be met in order to access them, and then high barrier meaning that there are more expectations. First City Homeless Services is the main low barrier service provider in our community and is who we'll be partnering with for this event. They provide 3 different types of services in our community, one being meeting basic needs, things like shelter, food, clothing, and different hygiene needs, another being skill development programs, and then the third being community initiatives. And although these needs are being met in our community in some capacity, there's still certainly some services our community would benefit from having. Services like detox facilities, more mental and behavioral health support, and more housing options.
I think another factor that really opened my eyes to what these vulnerable communities might be experiencing or are experiencing is just the lack of safety. Sleeping not in my own bed, not in the safety of my own home, downtown, the bars are right across the street. Just that lack of physical security, along with the lack of physical safety, like with being cold and not having the same resources that I'd usually have. I think that definitely brought some more light to that aspect of being homeless. And just not having access to the amenities that I usually have. We didn't have access to a bathroom, so having to figure out where I was gonna relieve myself or having nowhere to go and maybe make myself look a little bit more presentable, that can be pretty dehumanizing, especially I only experienced that for a day, so I can't imagine experiencing that lack of resources for any longer.
Okay, tell me about last night. How did you sleep?
I did not sleep well.
No.
I think I got like 4 solid hours, 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Wesley's coffee woke me up a few times, and then the singing at the bar woke me up.
Yeah, all the noises were crazy.
And it was really cold. Like the sleeping bag held up on the 8th grade survival trip, but apparently the sleep out it can't stand.
Yeah.
And the cold was really difficult. Like it's cold, and this isn't even winter. And
Yeah. Because what was it, like mid-40s?
Yeah, 40s, 30s.
Yeah.
It was not cold for Ketchikan, but it was cold for me. It was really cold, and I'm grateful that I don't have to be out here every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything you're going to be like more appreciative of after today?
Oh, definitely, like the house that I have, the life that I have.
Yeah.
I live a very, like, I guess you would say privileged, or like, I don't have to worry about much. I don't have to worry about if I'm warm or if I'm cold or if I need to have a sleeping bag at night. And I think I'm going to be a lot more grateful of that. I think I'm just going to be a lot more aware of that because it makes a difference. It's cold. It's not fun to be out here.
No.
And so, yeah, I'm going to be much more grateful of the life that I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ketchikan Youth for Change is a youth-led group in Ketchikan that works to educate youth on homelessness, drug misuse, and mental health. We've done quite a few events. The first event I ever participated in with Ketchikan Youth for Change was Stop and Plan Your Ride, which I think took place in July of 2022. That was right after the group formed, and pretty much the event took place in the mall. We had some cops, I think, came and helped us run the event, but pretty much we educated on the risks or just why you shouldn't drive under the influence of drugs. And we had just information tables, and we had some activities for kids to do so they could also feel included in it. And then we had a survey at the end for people to take, so that was really great. Another event we did, which I think we did this past spring in May or April of 2023, was Hidden in Plain Sight. And pretty much what it was is the police officers came and they made like a room that was supposed to simulate what, just a bedroom where people might hide drugs. And it also, the event was meant to teach on behaviors you would want to look for in people around you who might be using drugs. So that was another very educational event that we helped out with. We also attend community anti-drug coalitions across America. CADCA is a conference where you learn about drug misuse, you learn just lots of information about the stigmas, all that kind of stuff, and then you're kind of educated how to battle it. So the youth sector of it, we learned how to identify hotspots in our community for drug misuse, and then we learned some strategies we could use to combat it in our community.
As a 6th grader, I'm the youngest member of KYFC. This group is important to me because my parents both experienced drugs and my mom experienced homelessness when she was my age. One of the struggles we faced during the sleepout was not being able to set up our sleeping space right away. We had to carry all of our stuff on our backs to walk through town to the homeless shelter for food. Once we were done eating, then we had to carry all of our stuff back to the sleeping area to set up for the night. This experience was eye-opening to me because it gave me an idea of what my mom went through when she was homeless.
Okay, Alondra, what's your experience been like so far?
I know this is the second time that we've done the sleepout, and it's the second time that I've participated in the sleepout, but I genuinely don't think that I could ever mentally prepare myself to go through this, no matter how many times we do the sleepout. It's really cold, and it's really difficult, and like the sleeping and like sleeping under these conditions, while they're definitely not the worst conditions, they were really difficult, and I'm sure a lot of us woke up like sore, with a lot of pain, with our moods affected, and our energy for the rest of the day just kind of. But and to know that this is not as bad as it is for so many people, it's just heartbreaking. It's not something that anyone ever deserves to go through, and it's very unfortunate that people do. So, I mean, that's all the more reason for us to be doing this, to raise the money for First City Haven. I think the fact that I get to do it with a bunch of friends also has a change in the experience, because I'm not miserable by myself. I'm miserable with people that I care about, so it's like we're all miserable together. So it's not as terrible as it could be, but if I was by myself, I don't think I'd be anywhere near as okay or have anywhere near as good a mood as the mood that I have right now, which isn't very good. So that's saying something.
Youth shouldn't be shamed for wanting to share their voice or their opinions, which I think today is an issue. I think it seems like people kind of try to shun us from sharing our voices, but we have lots of power, and we actually do make a great impact on our community. I mean, by hosting events like the Sleepout, I feel just like we made a great impact on the community, and I just think that our voices were really heard, and we made the community aware that our voices matter. So that's very important to me, and I've just my experiences with the group have been great. Aside from sharing and impacting the community, I guess, I've just made so many friendships. Ketchikan Youth for Change, the group, it's a very, very diverse group of kids, and I've made really strong friendships with people that I'm very sad to say goodbye to, or maybe not goodbye to, but put a hold on it now that I'm going to be graduating. So it's just been so impactful on me, and I wish that everybody could have a chance to join a group like this where you can make these friendships or these relationships, and at the same time you can also make a great impact on your community and the people around you.